He's long dreamed of living a writer's life like Ernest Hemingway, and at 80, he's still writing. While commercial success has eluded Tasmanian short story writer Geoffrey Dean, he's finally getting to have a little time in the sun. Lucy Shannon reports.
And the sea, also changing colour, seemed to be carrying the morning light on its back of each fat wave on the wet curve of the beach between the headland, where wave by leisurely wave each tunnel of new light was presented amongst the strands of weeds and clusters of broken shells with an almost casual elegance.
Richard Flanagan, Christopher Koch, Geoffrey Dean. There probably aren't many of us who've heard of that last Tasmanian writer, but he's been putting pen to paper for more than 50 years.
I started writing when I was in grade 5. And also in grade 5 I realised I had a unique gift. I could tell a story and end it.
It all began with the classic school assignment when a teacher asks their class to write about what they did in the holidays.
Everybody went to the beach and they did this and they helped Dad cut the lawn. But I was lost in this bush and it started to rain and I sort of was the little boy lost.
In the story, his character saw lights in the distance.
I finally got closer and closer and I realised these lights weren't porch lights, it was a long-lost Tasmanian tiger. His pair of yellow eyes looking at me and he had a big smile on his face. And I thought, I wonder if that's a welcoming smile or a here's my dinner kind of smile. Now, I got 5 out of 10 because it wasn't on the subject.
His teacher mightn't have recognised his talent, but it didn't dampen his enthusiasm. Over the decades, he's become a prolific and well-regarded short story writer.
Well, look, I think that Geoff is a stayer. He's been in the writing community for so long, and even though he hasn't had the accolades that most writers are rewarded with throughout their life, he's just kept at it, and now finally he's starting to get a bit of recognition.
In his 80-odd years, the Tasmanian has had more than 50 jobs all over the world. Farmer, news cameraman, circus employee, wharfie and furniture salesman, to name a few. The writer credits this colourful life experience with enriching his work.
Another imagined story about an old man and a boy and stealing a train. Now, because I'd had experience on trains, I knew how to start a train, I knew about the oil burners and the coal boilers and the diesels and the rest of it. And so I could put that into the story that I made up. Now, that's my the modus operandi. It's, I imagine the story and I slide my experience into it.
He might be a Tasmanian writer, but he hasn't focused wholeheartedly on writing about the island. Instead, his stories often delve into the underbelly, as well as the wonders of the everyday.
Geoff has a very original voice. You know, he has a very gravelly perspective of the world, and he is interested in the characters around him, and he's lived life fully. He's seen a lot of things and he's got a lot to say, and he has a really wonderful way of saying it.
The Tasmanian Writers' Centre celebrated the wordsmith's contribution at their end-of-year event in 2010.
Being in a small state, quite often we don't get to celebrate our writers on a national level and give them the recognition that they need.
Well, there's one very nice friend I have in Melbourne who says to me, "You write and show us what it's all about." And I think that's a nice compliment to have.
Despite all that, he's never made a living from writing, and after years of solid work, struggles to get published. Age has made him philosophical about his youthful dreams of living the charmed writer's life, like Ernest Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald in Paris in the 1930s, earning thousands for each story.
No, it's been pretty pathetic all the way through. A few heavenly drops here and there, but never enough to moisten and grow my literary garden.
He believes the lowly status of the short story is to blame. He says big publishers don't like them because they don't make money, and small publishers can't afford the distribution costs to get the work to wider markets. Regardless, he will keep plodding on because, like his 50-year addiction to cigarettes, he can't give writing up, even though the process of finding stories doesn't get any easier.
Sometimes I think in my most fanciful moments that they're there and all I've got to do is go looking for them. It depends on how hard you look. And perhaps I mightn't look as hard as I used to.